Welcome to Guided Hearts. Please subscribe.
So I went to Sunday school, was an altar boy, like the whole package, right? But deep down, I could feel I have something missing, but I do not know what it is. And so it's the first time I see someone, like a Muslim, actually praying in front of me, like being Allah Akbar. And I'm like, okay, that's super weird. It's like, the terrorist in the movies, basically. I went to my local priest house. When I inquired about covering the head for women, why is it in the Bible? He basically told me that at the time of Jesus, it was the trend. Same thing for pork. It was like, at the time they didn't have fridges. So I'm 29. I'm originally from France. Grew up in Toulouse. It's in a southwest part of France. And then I moved quite a lot around the world. Yeah, lived in moved to Paris, Marseille, then the US, Egypt, and I've been in the UAE now for about 5 years. Wow, that's a very long story. I don't think initially, like most converts, you don't really start by looking for Islam. It's just like it comes along the way. And in my case, I've been brought up as a Christian. My mom's a Christian, my dad's an atheist, but like it's kind of like a cool atheist, if I may say, very tolerant. And I have a Christian background. So I went to Sunday school, was an altar boy, like the whole package, right? But it was more of like a cultural thing, if I may say. My mom, I just followed my mom's footsteps. She took me to church and I was like, okay, that makes her happy. It's kind of fun. I made friends there. So, it works for me. And then teenage years came and I kept on going to church and stuff, but I wasn't as involved as when I was a kid. To the extent of I stopped going to church. I was still a believer. I would pray from time to time, when I needed things, when I wanted to get a good grade or something. I wasn't really going to church or anything anymore. But I would still call myself a Christian. So the year passed, and as things goes, I'm just leading a very superficial lifestyle, I would say, like a lot of teenagers. It's all about my friends and parties and clothes and what to wear, who to go out with and gossip and, like very shallow things. And I could feel, I would call myself happy, but deep down I could feel I have something missing, but I do not know what it is. Something's missing in my life. I don't know what that is. So I'm just trying to fill it with even more fancy clothes and friends and girlfriends and etc., parties and stuff like this. But I still have this hole inside of me. And I'm going to college, my first year, and we have some students. They're from Morocco. They followed the French curriculum back in Morocco, so they've been admitted to French college. And I've become friend with one of them. His name is Murad. And I assumed he was a Muslim because I had Muslim friends, like aka Arab friends. They were doing Ramadan, but that was about it. So that was my perception. Arabs are Muslim and they do vaguely some kind of Ramadan, and that's about it. So I became friend with this guy, and he was just different from the other one. He was very honest. I remember he wouldn't really mingle, going to clubs and stuff like this. It would I was just like maybe shy or something. Anyway, one day he invited me over and we were just playing video games, and suddenly he said, man, I'm sorry, I have to pray. Can we take a break? It's like, you have to pray. Oh, okay, go for it. And so it's the first time I see someone, like a Muslim, actually praying in front of me, like being Allah Akbar. And I'm like, okay, that's super weird. It's like, the terrorist in the movies, basically. That was my perception of it. And I just found it so odd that we're in the middle of, having fun and doing whatever teens do. And he has to pray. It takes time to pray. So at the end of his prayers, he asked me, by the way, we never talked about religion. What are you? So I tell him I'm a Christian. I said, oh, that's very interesting. In Morocco, we don't really have many Christians. I've never had a Christian friend. I don't know much about this religion. Tell me about it. And I tell him the same. I never really had like a real Muslim friend, like someone who actually prays and do the whole thing. So tell me about it. So we start asking each other questions, and quickly I can see that he knows a lot. He read the Quran. He knows many hadith. He knows the story of the Prophet, peace be upon him. He knows a lot of things. And when he asked me, what's in the Bible? I'm like, well, you know, Jesus nice. He died on the cross for my sins, and you know, it's about it. It was like, oh, you never read the Bible? No. Okay. You just, you know, it was kind of like shocked a little bit that I would consider it being my religion, but I wasn't really able to talk about it. And I felt really embarrassed, to be honest, because when you go to church, it's kind of like seasonal. You have the same stories coming, the death of Jesus, and you know, Jesus coming back. But I didn't really know what was in the Bible. I didn't really know in depth. I just knew the major, the milestone of the life of Jesus, and that was about it. And I was just happy with it. But deep down, I realized that I was ignorant about Christianity. So I was like, I need to know. So I went back to my house and I thought to myself, if you call yourself a Christian, you need to actually know what is this religion, and not just take your priest's word for it or whatever your mom taught you. You need to study it. You need to research it, because even Sunday school, it wasn't really in depth. It was, you learn a few prayers and you learn very basic things, but we would really never push to read the Bible. So I started reading the Bible, and I started learning a lot of things, actually, the major difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament, and a lot of things that I found in the Bible that were never told to me. For example, in the Bible, it says that eating pork is not permissible. It says that women needs to cover their hair when they pray, otherwise it's better for them to shave their head. Things like that. And it's kind of funny because in the time of my grandma, when they would go to church, they would wear a hat or some kind of like, not really a hijab, but some kind of like small veil, you know, on their head. But nowadays, it's anything goes. Like you can go to church literally with a short skirt and no one, or like a tank top, and no one would really blink an eye. At least in France. I don't know in other countries. So I was kind of shocked to find all of this. So I started taking a piece of paper and I wrote every single time I would find something. I would write, this page, it says that, we're not doing it, why? Or, you know, any question that I had, I started writing it down. After, I don't even know, like maybe 6 months of reading and researches, I had like 4 sheets covered in questions. So I was like, I do need answers now. I went to my local priest's house, knocked at his door, and I was like, hi, I need to talk to you. He's like, okay, sure. Basically, what did you do? That was his assumption. I was like, well, I read the Bible and I have questions. And he was shocked because he was like, no one never reads the Bible and asks me questions about it, which is kind of sad. But anyway, so we started having this exchange, this back and forth, and that was quite interesting. A lot of my questions he was able to answer and give me answers, but a lot of them, I really wasn't convinced by his answers. For example, when I inquired about covering the head for women, why is it in the Bible? He basically told me that at the time of Jesus, it was the trend. So I was like, wait, you telling me that the Bible is just giving out trends, like it's Vogue magazine or something? No, that's insulting. You can't say stuff like that. So same thing for pork. It was like, oh, you know, at the time they didn't have fridges, and I was like, I'm not really buying it. Like, and even he was like confused in his argument. Clearly, he was trying to make sense of some stuff, but I wasn't convinced, and he wasn't convincing. So I went back home after talking a while with him, and I realized I was like, okay, I have no problem with Jesus. I believe in him. I have no problem in God, but I do have a problem with. I don't even have a problem really with the Bible, but well, except I did find some contradiction, but that's debatable. But anyway, I had a problem majorly with what the church did with it. For example, if I did a sin, why should I go in the conflict? I don't really know how to say that in English, but like the wooden box, basically, where you confess your sin, the confessional, I guess it's called. Yes. Why should I go in a confessional and tell my sin to someone else? And I was explaining that basically he was above me, but below God. I was like, wow, so you're better than me, kind of thing, you know? So I was kind of like, I felt about that. I was like, I'm looking for a closer relationship with God where I can talk to him directly and I don't need anyone to intercede. So then I started researching. I was like, okay, so Jesus initially was Jewish, so let's study Judaism. So I started studying Judaism, and it was really interesting because it's the basic of everything. But I found that the Jews, they don't believe in Jesus, actually. When Jesus came and said, I'm the prophet, I'm the Messiah, the prophet you've been waiting for. They said, no, you're not. And now up to now, they're still waiting for the Messiah, which was Jesus. So I was like, okay, that's very interesting, because all the basic of Abraham and Noah, I believe in Jesus. So that's not for me. Then I was hearing a lot about Buddhism. It looks like it's exotic. It's, kind of cool. It's cool vibe. So I was like, let's look into that. But I didn't find this vertical relationship with God that I was looking for. It was more like a philosophy, if I may say. So at that point, I was kind of confused. And I remembered Islam. That was a month after, maybe even a year after my first encounter with my friend who was praying from Morocco. So I remembered about Islam, and I was like, maybe I should read the Quran. I mean, that's a very odd religion, because women have no rights, and there's terrorism. And I was like, it's a very odd religion. But my friend did give me a good feeling about Islam. So let's look into it. So I went to a bookshop, and I just bought a copy of the Quran, a translation of the Quran in French. And I started reading it. And the more I was reading it, the more I was like, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense. This makes sense. Pretty much everything made sense. And reading the Quran to me was like making a puzzle. The more you put pieces together, the more you can start seeing like a clear picture of what it is. And of course, I had some questions, because I wasn't, and I'm not fully knowledgeable. So I had questions. So I did the same thing as when I was reading the Bible. I started writing all the questions that I had. And eventually I was like, I need to talk to a specialist, but who? My friend went back to his country. I don't know any Muslims around me. Who can I talk to? So I went on Google, and I just Googled, where can I find a mosque in my city? And the funny/sad thing in France is that most of the mosques are located in the hood, in ghetto areas, kind of scary areas for upper middle class white boy like me. I went to private school, I'm kind of like, I'm more of a Lacoste and iPhone kind of guy. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to get robbed, but I need to get answers. So let's go there. I was totally prejudiced, because they did not happen. But anyway, I don't even know how many subways. I took the bus to go to the ghetto. I ended up there, and I found the mosque. It was something very modest. It was kind of like a porta cabin, because they were trying to collect money to build an actual mosque. So it was a porta cabin on a parking lot. I was surrounded by those typical French ghetto tall buildings, kind of scary vibe. A lot of guys hanging out in the street, smoking bad things, stuff like this. I was like, oh my God, where am I? But anyway, so I started like, turning around the mosque for a while. I was like, how does that work? The door was closed. I was really unsure. At some point, I saw two old men, and they were like washing their feet outside. So I went to talk to them. I was like, hi, excuse me. And they replied in Arabic. They didn't speak any French. So I was like, okay, Matthew, that's it. You're not that's not your area. That's not where you belong. Go back to your neighborhood. And I was about to turn back when I felt a hand on my shoulder. I was like, okay, now great. I'm going to get robbed, right? And there was this guy, and he said, excuse me, it's been like 30 minutes. I see you like turning around the mosque. What do you want, basically? So I told him, I read the Quran, I have questions, and I want to talk to an imam, but I don't know how it works. I've never been here before. I'm sorry. And he said, okay, no worries. Right now we're going to pray, and you can sit in the back of the mosque while we pray, and then I'll talk to the imam, and he'll talk to you. He showed me how to do ablutions to get inside the mosque. So I did ablutions for the first time, and then I sat in the back of the mosque. And I think it was probably Maghrib prayer, because it was out loud. And I remember, like, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, because from my background, prayer it's silent, it's very individual. And here I could see all those guys together, united at the same time. One voice, when they all say, I had the chill. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. because I've never seen that before, like the group prayer. And so at the end of the prayer, the imam comes talk to me and listens to my story briefly. He gives me like some small books, very ABCs. What is Islam? Islam for beginners, kind of thing. It was like, okay, you can read that in the meantime, and then feel free to come back on Sunday. We have a class for Muslim kids learning Islam, but that could be appropriate for you. It's like, okay. So I came back next Sunday, and I sat down with the kids in the mosque. So the imam explained, he told stories about the prophets. And what was really interesting as well is that he answered all the kids' questions. And kids, they will ask whatever goes through their head, right? Through their mind. And I remember at the time there was like a plane crash and a lot of people died. And one of the kids asked, if God is nice, why did he kill all those innocent people? And I remember like the answer of the imam. I don't really remember exactly what it was, but it was something that sometimes we can't comprehend why God does things. But this is being a believer. We always have to be humble, and we know that he knows best. So whatever happens is for a reason. And sometimes things like that may happen and we may not understand it, but we need to accept it. And I was like, wow, that was a very tricky question. And that was a great answer. That totally makes sense. And that reminded me of all the tricky questions I had to my priest. And easier than that, and he wasn't even able to answer them. I was like, wow, that things make sense. So anyway, he thanks the kids for coming. So maybe the imam told them that there would be like a guest or something. I don't know. But they were very nice and welcoming. They didn't look at me weird. I felt a bit awkward at first. I was like, okay. But at the same time, at that point, I was very humble. I was like, because I didn't really know the etiquette of the mosque and stuff, and I didn't know much about Islam. So I was like, it was weird because I felt like, yeah, I do belong with the kids because I'm like a kid. I don't know anything. So it was weird because obviously I was like an adult, but yeah, no, that was weird without being weird. So anyway, the imam thanks all the kid and was like, see you guys next week. And he told me that was really nice for you to come and you're always welcome. You can come back whenever you want. If you want to come back next week. And at that point, I told him, well, listen, I read the Quran. You answered all of my questions because I was able also to get a one-on-one with him and answered all my questions, ask all my questions. And I was like, really, I don't have any other questions. I'm convinced. And he was like, yeah, are you sure? I was like, yeah. I said, okay, then we'll do the shahada. I took my shahada in French first and then in Arabic. And yeah, I went back home as a Muslim. I was 21. I was ecstatic. You really, after you take your shahada, you really like, I was walking on a cloud. I felt like, because all my sins have been washed away, and I was like, I finally found the truth. And that hole I had in my heart was finally filled. And really, I was ecstatic. But at the same time, I was like, I know my environment. I know my family. Well, mainly my mom. My dad is very tolerant. My mom, I wouldn't call her racist because that wouldn't be fair. She hasn't been exposed to anything else but the media. Like a lot of, at least French people, and it's probably very relatable to a lot of other nationalities. She doesn't know any Muslim. She may know one or two people who have Muslim origins, but apart from an Arabic name, that's basically all they have from Islam. So that's her reference. But they basically live like Christians or non-Muslims. She was really prejudiced. To be honest, I was before even reading the Quran. And even to start buying the Quran and reading the Quran, I kind of like had this internal battle because I was like, this religion is, yeah, low-key evil because of what I knew from the media. I mean, I thought I knew from the media. And even sadly, a lot of the Muslims that I've encountered in my life and that I've seen around me did not have good behaviors, sadly. I really had a bad image of Islam because of the media and because of the Muslims people that I would perceive as Muslim around me. But then I was like, this is not fair because a religion, it's a prophet or several prophets. It's a book. It's a history. It's more than just people. Of course, Muslims should embody the values of Islam. But if I want to be really fair with Islam, I should just judge it on the Quran, on a hadith, the life of Muhammad. I can't judge it on because at the end of the day, we're just human. We're not perfect. So anyway, that's why when I came back home, I kept it a secret for a while. My mom, she knew I was reading the Quran because it was in my room, which was funny because she was kind of ashamed of that. I would say she was ashamed of that. Like we had a maid coming to clean our house, and she would hide my Quran every time the maid would come. Like I would find it in the oddest place, like under my a pile of clothes, under my mattress, because she didn't want the maid to know that, ooh, my son is reading the Quran, like maybe he's a Muslim or something. It's kind of a shame. So I knew it would be tricky with my mom. So I just came back home and I lived my life normally, but quickly they could see it because as I evolved in my religion, one of the first things I stopped eating pork and drinking alcohol. And that's something that, intrigued people because they knew me the week before I was eating pork and drinking alcohol. So why this sudden change? At first, they asked me because at the time I was doing a lot of workout, and when I would do the bulking phase and the cutting phase, when I would do the cutting phase, which is like losing a lot of weight while keeping the muscle, I would barely drink any alcohol and cut pork. Alcohol is loaded with sugar, and pork is loaded with saturated fat. So that's really not something good for your body. So I would not consume that during those phases. So at first they were like, okay, maybe he's doing a cutting phase. And then as the month went, they were like, okay, now it's lasting way too long compared to usual. And even during the cutting phase, I would eat still some pork or some alcohol, but just very reduced amount. So eventually one day my mom just asked me, she was like, did you convert to Islam? And I told her yes. And after that, it was quite difficult, to be honest, because she was afraid. Then she thought that she failed as a mother. So there was a major work from my end to reassure her and show her that I was still the same. It's really something that's kind of, and on top of that, I did not have any other convert friends. So I really wish at the time there would be an organization or someplace that I could turn up to and ask questions. How do I handle this situation? Because I really felt alone in this. Even at the mosque, they were very nice and stuff, but no one could really understand the reality that I was facing because, most of them, they were born Muslim with Muslim families. So they didn't have this interfaith misunderstanding things going on. So it was quite difficult, but eventually, now it's amazing. We have an amazing relationship. She understands, we respect each other, and it was great. But it wasn't easy at first.
My beloved brothers and sisters, when giving dawah to non-Muslims, lead with kindness and humility. People are more touched by sincere care than by strong arguments. When they feel safe, respected and valued around you, they become curious about the faith that shapes your character. Speak gently and only when the moment is right. You don't need to know everything or convince anyone. Simply sharing what Islam has brought into your life, peace, purpose and discipline, can be more powerful than long explanations. Sometimes silence paired with good manners speaks louder than words. Always remember that guidance comes from Allah alone. Your responsibility is effort, not results. Even if someone does not accept Islam, your patience, honesty and respect may remove misconceptions and open a door for them in the future. Allah rewards every sincere intention. If a single person is guided through your kindness, the reward is greater than anything in this world. And even if no one accepts, Allah will still record your effort as worship. So be gentle, be sincere and respect Islam in the most beautiful way.